and welcome to another Toonkind at 12 FPS. My name is Winona, and I'll be your DM, your semi DM for today. It's hard doing it. It's hard to think of things like this is a character, but at the same time it's a DM PC, so it's just like But anyways, I am with the amazing, the wonderful, the talented.
Sniping me early in the morning. Hi everybody, my name is Wes, and today I am bringing forth Miss Celeste. Well, by this point it's probably Celeste Scrambles, isn't it?
We still need to get that. We still need to get that other FPS to say done, but we'll figure it out.
Timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly stuff.
Yes, timely, wily, wibbly, wobbly stuff.
But yes, Selli has questions. She has many questions. She does not like the speed at which the answers are forthcoming, so she's going to do something about it.
Yes. And this will also for the people in the audience, this will have a lot of spoilers from the big the Bad Wolf game, so
yeah, if you're not up to date, you're gonna get some stuff spoiled.
Yeah. So, yeah, but Selli, you are escorted to Jules' castle in this case because Jules' castle is far away from Inkwell, and the only way to get there is by without having to take days and days, is teleportation circle.
Yeah, well, we're quite spoiled in Anquell with teleportation circles being basically everywhere. So Selly would not have entertained the notion of manually traveling if it was at all possible to avoid it. Also, they're kind of on a bit of a deadline anyway. So, yeah, no, she is absolutely okay with the idea of getting a teleportation circle to Jules' place. Has no issues with that whatsoever.
Mm-hmm. And you were like, Nigel comes to your guys' castle for this, and he does a temporary teleportation circle to their castle, and and invites you inside, and leads you throughout the castle to the main sort of living room area that is her home, that is her like little mini home within the castle, that is. Mm-hmm. That is right next to her core, which is which for people who don't know is a beautiful round crystal ball jewel.
Yep. Is this the first time Sally has been here?
I think it technically has. And she will definitely notice, like, this is the biggest castle. Like, this is Howl's moving castle. Levels of big. That's just. It doesn't move, but yet you can obviously see androids going around trying to spruce it up still to make it move. But inside you see
yeah, because I'm remembering there being something like she was letting it all go to shit or something, wasn't there?
It's a long process to even.
All right, well, just for shits and giggles, given as we're in a new area for her, how about I just quickly roll a Percepi?
Yeah, roll a Percepi.
Just oh my god, can I type? No, apparently not. There we go. Plus 32. It's a nat 1. She's laser focused on her goal. She perceives fucking nothing.
Yeah, the only thing you realistically you see is just the jaw droppiness of everything. It almost it's almost an overwhelming feeling. Like there's so much going on that you can't really like grab onto one thing or another. It like constantly moves past you.
Wild. She is here on a mission though, so maybe she can be a tourist when they're not all in mortal peril.
Yeah, probably a good idea. And Nigel finally leads you to this spot at the tippy top of the castle. It's which throat. It's a congestion. It's slowly becoming spring here, and I can feel it in my bones.
Rip.
But basically, this one part of the castle doesn't even look like a castle. It almost looks like a little, like something you would see, is say maybe on your, say on your home island. It's just a nice little one, say little, maybe say 1 or 2 bedroom house that is say that has a big hearth, sort of a hearth fire that kind of also looks like an oven, but at the same time, it also has mechanicals, and that's where a jewel is being held. There is a window right next to it that looks out across the castle. There's a small little kitchen in one corner, and then a table is say right in the middle of say the kitchen.
Cute.
hmm It's not as grand as you expect. It's not as grand as everything else in the castle. It's almost like the castle was built around this small little home.
Honestly, Selli would not be surprised. Like, admittedly, she now lives in a castle with a library and a wizard's tower and all this stuff, but at the same time, their living quarters is very much the same. Like, their family quarter, it's a little house, essentially, inside this big castle. So, yeah, I don't think she's even surprised at that, or like even disproving or anything, because like it's exactly what she would do and it's exactly what they did. The castle is kind of just like icing on their family home, and they're like, well, we've got a dragon's hoard to spend, why the fuck not?
Yeah, basically. Yeah,
But yeah, is Miss Jewel visible there at
yeah,
all?
Jules actually in the kitchen. Say she is making tea.
Great. Well, Sally will sort of just wait until she's greeted by the owner of the domicile.
Yeah, and Jewel looks up as she hears the door open and everything, and she flicks her table. Yeah, flicks her tail to the table. It's like, welcome, come in. Say, have a
Thank
seat.
you. Thank you for having me at such short notice, Jewel.
I have, let's say, basically in retirement now. I got nothing else better to do.
She'll go and she'll sit down.
Uh, I don't know what kind of tea you like. I always go with peppermint as a starter. You like peppermint?
Peppermint is fine, thank you.
And Jewel look say gives a nod to Nigel, who comes over and takes the little tray that they say she's been making, and say picks it up and carries it over to the table as Jewel jumps on his shoulder and then jumps on the table on the other side of her once he comes closer as Nigel pours the tea for both of them.
You know, she'll politely sip at her tea when she is given her tea.
So, how is Mrs. Scrambles now?
If I'm honest, it feels very, very similar to before we were married, except now when people mistakenly say husband, I don't have to correct people anymore.
She just chuckles.
Changing my name will take some getting used to, though.
Oh, it always does. I say, don't worry about it. It happens to every married couple.
I'm glad that it's something that we could do. It doesn't feel real at times. And she's just gonna fiddle with the ring on one of her fingers.
It rarely does. Say it's been a while, but I remember when she got married. She was so happy about it and felt like a fantasy to her. But soon enough, you'll settle into the role.
I've had a lot of change in my life over the last few years. And thankfully, not all of it at once, so I've been able to adjust at each step. But I'm almost getting used to big revelations, in a way.
Yeah, true. And then she gives a coy smile. So, have you thought about children?
She just takes a nice, deliberate sip of her tea and then puts it down. We already have two beautiful children.
Oh, you know what I mean, sweetie.
I am aware, but I am also aware that the way that Pokemani have children is largely up to chance. I
Really?
am uncertain whether or not anything I do would cause us to have children between us or not.
Really? That's interesting. So you're say so you type of tunes are different than some of them. All right.
Oh, yes, well, it was a little bit of a surprise to both Scribbles and I when we were discussing it some time ago. He was surprised that Pokemon tunes are born from eggs, and I was surprised that most tunes aren't.
Yeah. Say most tunes aren't. They're either they either come from the ground itself, say, or when you have a couple in this case, they either say they're usually born. I mean, not to say that there's no egg laying tunes, but it sort of make in a way they're sort of like between like species, not species, well, kind of like tunes that would like you would think would have eggs, like bird tunes would have eggs, say between the couple and everything. You know what I mean?
Mm. Yes, that is what we discussed. But, no, the appearance of an egg is not something that can be predicted. There is an entire branch of medicine on both of the Pokemon Isles that is dedicated to studying such a thing to see if any kind of pattern can be ascertained, and also to support people trying to have children. And the Pokemon have been isolated for such a long time. Whether or not we can have an egg between us, given as Scrapple is not a Pokemon, I don't know.
Hmm.
So we will have to wait and see.
Yeah, indeed, you'll have to wait and see. Again, very interesting. Not that I should probably pry in that sort of matters, but say as a
As a
researcher,
researcher, I'm sure that it would be of benefit to have someone of your capacity weighing in on the subject, if biology of a particular subset of tunes was of interest to research.
eh, again, I'm retired. I go here and there in my research nowadays. But this sort of, this kind of research is very interesting in this case. Usually most children are predictable when in this, well, I mean, I should say most children are predictable. There are other line circumstances, but I was gonna say, usually you know when you're having a kid when you're having a kid for the most part. So, but
Mm.
having it to be totally up to chance in a way, now that's there has to be some pattern to it.
I can put you in contact with some of the researchers at the Mutherhood. I'm sure they'd be delighted to speak to you about it.
Ugh, I won't say I'll say. I mean, it'll give me something to do at least. I'll be honest, I'm not fully into biology, but again, retired. I got plenty of time on my hands.
Mm. Speaking of research, Jewel, I have need of something that I believe you may have, which is why I am here today.
Say, Jewel, say, you can make an insight check if you want.
Certainly. Yes! Natural 20! Hello!
Yeah, Jewel knows exactly why you've come to her, exactly what you want to ask of her, and you know for sure that she wants nothing to fucking do with it, just because of the shame that the subject has even brought. Like you can see like pain, anguish, shame, anger. This is a subject that you know that say why you're here for, but she does not want to talk about it at all.
Oh no, definitely. And you know what? Selly kind of did expect that because, like, if they were researchers, they would write shit down. So, like, and like she could ask Unbekannt, but she also doesn't want to like bother him because she knows he doesn't people well. So if she can get her hands on the actual documentation herself, she doesn't have to annoy her god. Um so yeah. Sally's just gonna give Jewel a second and put her tea down, fold her hands on the tabletop. Jewel, this is hard. I understand this. But this is not something that can be ignored. It is a matter of life and death for many people.
Yeah, Jewel is not making eye contact with her. And say that thing has been a blight on my family ever since it was made.
And yet, your approach has been avoidance. And I understand that you have been in a position where your heart has been broken several times.
I mean,
I
yeah.
understand.
How can you really understand? Say she looks at her ears pinned back. You say your child never betrayed you like this. Never even hurt one of your other children before. Say you haven't felt that pain. Say
No, not as a parent, but as a sister. I have. I have watched my brother suffer and stood by while it happened. And my father, who we should have been able to trust, did countless terrible things. So I may not understand as a mother, but I do understand that sometimes horrible things happen, and the last thing you want to do is think about those things, especially when it feels almost like you can put it behind you. But that's the nature of this, Jewel. Quill is still alive, and he is a direct threat not only to me and my family, but to everyone at my university and everyone in my city. And if they get their way, goodness only knows what it is that they will do beyond that. It is not something that you can put behind you just yet. Not until he is dead, and the rest of his cohort have been dealt with and are no longer a threat. You cannot simply ignore it.
say she's still not looking at you, looking at you at this. Maybe if I was a little bit stronger, maybe a little bit more, I could have defeated him. fully, though at the same time, it was all a trick to make me believe that he was dead. Drove drove my family apart, or at least what was left of it. Three, say, two children left. Well, can you just? Are you sure you need this? Can't you defeat him on your guys' own? You guys are all very strong. Strong. I've seen you guys. Can't you just leave me out of it?
Strength in body and strength in magic is not going to be enough. We need strength of knowledge as well. And at this point, he has grown far beyond anything that he was when you knew him. We have other sources that have given us information based on how he is now. But it is nothing about his core, the part of him that can never change. I need Olivia's research. I need to know how he was made, because it seems as though you have never endeavored to find out.
Of course. You want to know why?
I do.
Because finding out how to kill him is finding out how to kill all of us. How to kill Magicae themselves. If that knowledge would have gone out, you would have, your son would be in danger. I would be in danger. And even if my other two Magicae children are still alive, they would be in danger as well. I've kept that research hidden out of their own safety as the least I can do with what I had left.
All creatures are always at risk. There are any number of ways to kill Toons. With a dagger through the heart, being doused in dip. There are so many different ways to end lives. Magicae are not unique in that. And you've said it yourself. You are unsure how Olivia, who had no magic of her own, was able to create Quill. So this says to me that there was something unique about him and her. It isn't about Magicae. It's about Quill and Olivia. Have you even read her research? Even glanced at it?
You don't have to make a roll. You could obviously, with the look on her face, she looks away, ashamed, and totally, and without words, saying that she has not even looked at it.
Mm-hmm. Selli sort of leans back a little bit and she squares her shoulders and, like, I don't actively want to roll intimidation, but I kind of do.
If you want
to. Alright. Intimidating, she's just trying to press upon Jewel how fucking important this is. 15, that's not too bad.
She Jewel will make a counter roll to that.
Yep.
Let's see. What would be the one for that again?
It's a whiz save against intimidation, I believe.
Oh, okay. You got lucky. That was a 14.
Nice.
fully overwhelm her. Say because say, but you do get the point across that this is serious, and she is, and you are not. Selli is not gonna go away until she gets the answers.
Mm-hmm. And like she is also gonna. She's just gonna keep going for a bit longer because, I mean, it's a good point that Jewel made, but as it stands, Jewel, the information inside that research may hold some secret way of destroying a Ueda magic. But right now, with what Quill is doing, everyone is already in danger.
She doesn't look at you, just looks down at her tea. And just is quiet for a moment. It ain't gonna be easy. We'll have to decipher her notes. Because not very sure how say what wizards are like these days, but back in my day, say all wizards kept their say research underneath some sort of cipher, so it can't be easily scribed or say copied.
I feel that most wizards are a little bit more trusting and share their magic quite more freely these days. But you knew Olivia the best out of the two of us. So we should get started.
Let me finish my cup of tea.
She'll sort of sit back and she will take her own cup and give a bit of a nod.
Yeah.
And I will drink my own tea as well. Tea.
Yeah. And they sit there, I assumedly in silence, as Jewel finishes her cup of tea slowly.
Mm-hmm.
Even letting
Selli is not slow about it, but she will just sort of sit there and be like, okay. She got her hands folded on the tabletop, fully waiting.
Yeah, even letting it get
for Jill to finish.
Even letting it get cold in a way, say, before she finally takes her final sip. And just sighs.
Putting it off for as long as physically possible.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
She be like that. As she stands up and say Nigel comes over almost instinctually and she jumps upon his shoulder and goes to not the door you came in, but one of the other doors in in this room. Like there's only two doors, and he goes to one of them and plunges it and takes out a very ornate looking key. And
Nice.
Puts it in the lock, and the door glows a bit as it opens up to a room that looks like it shouldn't be there. Like the orientation of the house feels like it shouldn't be right there, but there it is.
Yeah. Selli is well familiar with shit like this.
And Jewel leads her into a bedroom, of all things.
Uh-huh.
A bedroom that looks to be preserved in time. It has no dust or cobwebs, but you can obviously see that nothing has been still like touched for a while. The air, the vibes in here feel cold. The room is Victorian era style with shades of dark purple and gold. With a
nice.
with a large bed, like frilly, lacy pillows and everything. There's a little corner library with a table on there, and You can see on the table there is, say, there looks to be sheets of paper and notes and books.
Oh yeah.
This was her room.
Untouched since she'd passed away, I assume.
Yes, of course we kept, say, last say, I always kept it clean, but other than that, untouched.
Hmm. Do you want to roll an insight on Sally?
Will do. That's gonna be an 11.
Eh. Sally, well, she's not trying to hide it necessarily, I don't think. Oh, she's trying to be professional. Actually, yeah, you know what? She's trying to be professional. She's going to roll a deception against that, which unfortunately she's quite good at, so we'll see what the dice has to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, nah. Nope, not with a 23. Jewel gets nothing.
Yeah.
Um,
Makes sense. This is a lot for her. Just being back
yeah,
in this room.
but for our benefit, um, gosh, Selly is just sort of looking at Jewel and going, "Oh my god, you are holding on to so many wounds in your heart, you poor woman." Um, but okay, so she's going to make a beeline straight for the desk with the books and all the papers and stuff, and start looking through it. What would you like me to do?
Uh, let's go with a quick investigation first.
Okay. Come on, silly. 17! That's not bad!
Yeah, not bad at all. As you look at the papers in particular, they almost look like they're definitely, like she said, in some sort of code. Say you have no idea what they say. It sounds Greek to you,
Nah.
and you then then you sort of glance at the books, and some of them are like journals, others are research books into different types of magic. Others
Mm-hmm.
are is a say others look to be cookbooks,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, it's just like at least that's what's on this desk currently.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Uh, um. Hmm. Well. So the problem is that I have not made a custom cleric subclass for Unbecant, so she doesn't have any extra, like, nerd stuff. It's on my to-do list. So, okay, I
I
think what she wants to do first, maybe, is, because, like, the whole point of her coming here to get the research firsthand was so that she didn't bother Unbecants. If she gets too stuck, she can always resort to going, hey, do you have a cheat sheet for this cipher that this woman who's no longer alive made? And if she wrote down her cipher code and then destroyed it, even then, it would still be in Unbecant's library. So she's got that as a plan B, but it needs to be like plan Z rather than plan A. So, okay.
say would you say I'll then say I'll give you a choice then. Would you want to look at the journals first? Would you like to look at the magic book, or would you like to look at the cookbook first? And since I know you don't have a subclass for it, so I'll give you an advantage on these rolls.
Oh, thank you. my knee jerk is to go for the research first, but I know it's in a cipher. And like, why are there cookbooks here? I think she's gonna look at the cookbooks first.
All right,
Just a, yeah,
roll
just
in.
a.
Roll another investigation. With advantage.
That advantage. It's not as good. That's a 14.
Oh, good enough to notice.
Okay,
Say
cool.
as you flip through this cookbook, you say it's like it looks like I mean, first it's a treasure trove of a cookbook because these are old recipes, very old. It's a snapshot almost of the time they were living in. It's very interesting to see. It's just like what they used to call ingredients back then, and
As a medieval feast cook, yes. Oh my god. It can be like that.
yeah. And however, during your flipping, you notice her circling certain words in the cookbooks.
Tilt head to one side. Okay. Interesting. Okay. And now I am not super good with ciphers, but I'm just going to rattle off things that I think of as I think of them. So I apologize for incoherence in advance.
No, you're fine. I'm not very good at ciphers either. So I just made this say if you roll well, you will eventually find it.
I just want to make sure that I'm on the right track here. So, like, the research from when she was flipping through all the stuff before, was the research in, like, was it a symbols cipher, or are they still in common?
Still in common.
Symbols? And are they actual words, or are they gobbledygook?
They look like gobbledygook for you. To you.
Okay.
Like,
all right.
Yeah, it looks like there is some like they could have been like here's the thing, it's just like there's some like repeating like letters and stuff like word-ish, but still gibberish to you.
All right. Now, can I roll a history to see whether or not Selli can like connect some dots between the stuff that's circled in the cookbook and anything on the ciphered research?
Yes.
Oh, they keep getting worse. Selli, come on.
Yeah, it's just like you can't connect anything right now. You feel like there is a piece missing to this.
Okay. Well, I think she might leave the cookbook open there. Like, she'll pick a page that's got like a number of words circled. Just leave it open. And she's got the research on that side. It's journal time. Dirty 20. Thank you, Selli. Okay.
Yeah, you figure out you look into the journal, and it's a very nice journal. This is a diary sort of style journal that has what would have been a lock and key, but there's no there's no lock or key as of right now. It's an open book, but it does have like very sort of almost feels like a silk cover, and it's like kind of fluffy, like it's like pillowy in some way.
Wild.
Yeah, it's a wild journal.
Yeah.
And you look through it, and you look very closely, and for a little bit it looks to be a normal journal, but you then sort of see these discrepancies of you thought, wait, no, that looks to be a L, but wait, no, that's not how you write an L. That looks to be a number. And you see, and you then like go back and like look more closely, and you can see numbers written in where like words used to be. Like, okay, ha- okay, this will sound like a joke, but it isn't. Have you
It's
ever
leet.
heard of
It's
have you ever heard
leet
of home
speak.
have you ever heard of Homestuck?
I have heard of Homestuck. I have never read Homestuck, but like, I assume that this is like elite speak kind of thing, where like that
Yes.
like that kind of bullshit. Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
basically.
Yep. Okay. I am going to quickly roll a hammer space for Selli. That is not a one. Hooray!
Yay.
She's going to be pulling out her own notebook,
Mhm.
and so that she can sort of write down the things that she's pulling from the journal, and then also comparing it to stuff that's in the cookbook, and see whether or not she can come up with something to decipher this research,
All
so
right,
that
then
she
let's.
doesn't have to write on anything that's hundreds of years old.
Yeah. So I would give you a what would be a good skill for this? Probably an intelligence with advantage because of your patron.
Okay, straight in.
I say, yeah.
Could I? Okay, this is going to be a long shot, but I'll ask it just in case. Can I make an argument that there is a measure of insight to working out ciphers like this?
I say I would allow it in this case.
Huzzah! Thank you. Okay, that's a 15. She's not scribbles. She's not good at this.
You're she looks at this and it's like she is so close to cracking this. Like she has some parts done, but not other not other things correctly. Where Jewel like looks at her work and she's starting to see the patterns. Like, here, let me.
Yeah, Selly she'll be saying all of these things out loud as she's trying to pull the different things from the cookbooks, from the journals. So she's narrating what she is doing, so Jewel can see and hear all of it.
Yeah, and Jewel sort of sees this and she's like, she jumps on the table and she's gonna make a rule to say help you out,
Yes, please.
which is good because she got exactly what you needed,
Yay!
which was an 18.
Yeah.
You were just few points off.
Uh-huh. It'd be like
As
that sometimes.
Yeah, but yeah, Jewel helps you out and like starts pointing you out stuff, and say she then like say you know when this happened, but Nigel started writing down what the cipher is in a separate like leather notebook, and he and eventually you you get the code and you decipher it. Yay!
Fantastic. Well, once they've got their cheat sheet for Olivia's cipher, Sally's going to flip to a new page in her notebook and start transcribing the topmost piece of research into her own book. How wizard of her. But in common.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you just say? Let's see. Do you have any? Say what tools are as a Selly can use?
As in, like, what she's proficient with.
Yeah, proficient. That was the word I was looking for.
Uh, Well, Selly is one of the first characters I ever made since starting playing D&D in the Draft House. So I don't know how good her character sheet is, but she's got proficiencies in the disguise kit and a dragon chest set, and that's it.
Honestly, fair. We all start out some way. Somewhere. Trust me, my first character was terrible also. So I'm just gonna get you to give me a dexterity check. With advantage.
Alrighty.
See how long it takes you to write all this down.
9. It takes a while.
Yeah, it almost like the screen sort of backs away for a minute, and we see the sun outside like slow it's fast forward where the sun is like up in the sky, but you can see it keep going down and down up to where it's near sunset.
Yeah. Gosh, Jill could have invented like an analytical AI robot by this point and going, here are the instructions, please translate. Maybe if they're doing a bit more of this, like, is this all of it? Takes all day to do all of the research here, or just some?
All of it.
Oh, okay, that's alright then. That's okay then. Selly will sort of lean back and kind of like crack her fingers a little bit and just like shaking her hands out because oof, that took a lot longer than she was expecting it to. And well, I don't know how scribbles can do things like that so quickly.
He was trained to do it. And Jewel pats her on the back.
Yes, my expertise is more in reading rather than writing. Ooh, I will be feeling that for quite some time, I feel. Ouch.
Yeah.
But from what I am reading, while I have been transcribing it, we've got a very interesting set of pages here in front of us. Shall we?
Jewel nods, and I will say the first thing to say, as Selly reads it as she writes it, it's very, very disturbing.
Yay! Love that.
Because
All
you know how Olivia made Quill.
Do tell. Do tell.
It's not unlike how you make a regular Una Magicae. However, she basically stole and sacrifices other people's magic to pile it together to make Quill himself. So, think Full Metal Alchemist.
Oh my fucking god. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'm not even really that surprised, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Given Quill, I think Selly is just sort of looking through this, and she's just gonna.
Yeah, and there's a strong theory that the more magic he takes, the bigger he gets. Hence how he got this big in the first place.
Yeah. Okay, so Selly's just gonna kind of sigh and then go, he is not simply an Oeda magic. He is a homunculus. That's not a homunculus, that's the wrong word. He is a chimera. That's the right word. Where did I get homunculus from? I am so tired.
I mean, don't blame ya, but you ain't technically.
It's because you said Full Metal Alchemist. That's what the problem was.
Look. Did I get inspiration for this whole entire campaign based on Full Metal Alchemist? Yes, I will say that proudly.
dear, oh dear. Like, I mean, homunculus is probably not completely incorrect
No,
either,
not
but okay.
completely incorrect, say either, but
Uh,
still.
she is, however, tired and not infallible, which I think is fun.
No, no,
But yeah, so
absolutely.
he is a magical chimera that behaves like a Hueda Magica. She forcefully put magic together in place of her own. This would be fascinating if it did not have terrible implications.
Yeah. And you have to, even if it was all piecemeal together like a chimera, she would still have to find a way to basically Una Magicae do like say like some sort of feeling does go into Magic K and say Una Magicae in some way. Say you feel the intent in a way of the creator itself. And
And from what you told me the last time we spoke on the subject, she wanted it so badly.
indeed.
Quill is born of stolen magic and a desire to have more, which fits what we know of him. That is all he is.
She nods.
And this here, about him growing in size, the more magic he contains, also fits what we know. At this stage, he is big enough to fill most of University City's underground. He is enormous.
Yeah. However, that's gonna be a problem.
Yes. We have been given an ultimatum, and we know some things about him, and so much that we don't. There's got to be something in here, how she cobbled them together. Maybe there's ways to reverse what she did, or whether or not they've just been assimilated. And she's flipping through her notes.
There is one thing that has always been a theory of mine, but what I've seen in this research, in a way, may confirm it.
What's that?
Una Magicae in particular are how should I put this? Resistant to anti-magic in a way. Anti-magic isn't what you say as you would know normally think. It is a when someone does a dispel magic or a anti-magic field, they basically suppress magic. It doesn't like the magic doesn't disappear, it just disperses it in a way to make it less say as take it less powerful and or disappear altogether. As say it doesn't destroy magic, it just repels it. That's what anti-magic say field and or a dispel magic does. And this works on whatever spell that we cast as Una Magicae. However, it cannot be cast on us directly because, well, Una Magicae have souls. That's the difference. We say can't be destroyed within an anti-magic field, for instance, because we have a soul protecting us. We would feel maybe not pain, but extreme discomfort in one, but we would not disappear, per se. However, this is a chimeric like being. Say, I don't think still a normal anti-magic field would repel them, but if we can find something a bit stronger, it just might, because again, it isn't one source of magic, it's magic that has been sewn together within itself.
What we need. Firstly, while we're sitting here, let's see if she's listed out the sources of the magic she's cobbled together to make a quill. After that, after I leave here, I need to speak to Luma. He put a ward on my office just before the university was attacked, and Quill could not get inside.
Makes
So
sense.
the very nature of that ward would have an effect on Quill. Firstly, let's look at this, though. And she's going to start flipping through and see if she can find, like,
Soul magic. You know, you may be onto something there. The why it worked like that is because, like I said, not only are Uda Magic a magic that has a soul, their magic is an almost extension of their soul, in a way. So having it fully protected by it makes sense. We may
she's
need to
flipping through the research while Jewel is saying this, trying to see if she can find, like, the sources of the different bits of magic that she's cobbled together.
Sure.
Like, if, like, subject A was a scribe's wizard. Here is some scribe's wizard magic. Here is a bard. Here's some bardic magic, that kind of thing.
Yeah, roll Arcana. Roll Arcana as she checks and as she continues.
Okay. What's your Arcana?
With advantage. And
With advantage?
she continues, like, that's not bad for, like, warding off. Depending, honestly, we may need to also get the chief involved, too. His soul magic is different from, Luma's. But maybe together they could cobble something up.
Wasn't Chief Luma the one who did the ward?
Sorry, I thought you said Dr. Luma. Sorry, when you say that, you're right.
She just said Luma. I could not brain a title, so it was just Luma. But, getting both Doctor and Chief Luma in on this, like, if they could make me as a spell scroll of some sort that we could just drop on the guy, that'd be great.
Mm-hmm.
But,
yeah, she's just rambling.
15 on the Arcana as well.
Yeah. Basically, she's rambling on. It's like a mixture of soul magic may do it. Yeah, and she gets but yeah, with that roll, she does get the top picks on it.
Alright. So we've got is it mostly wizards? Is it a big spread? What are we looking at here?
A lot of sorcerers for the initial intake of magic. But then
that makes sense. Their magic is quite inherent. Yeah.
But then sort of spreads out to, like, wizards for the most part. But there is, like, some bardic magic, but there's no, like, there is some clerics, but only specific clerics.
Oh yeah.
Nothing. Clerics that are more not godlike. You could say, or at least not good gods.
Okay.
Were clerics that had more to do with, like, other elements other than divine.
Oh yeah. Yep. Okay. Fair enough. Okay. Are there any notes in there about where she got these people from? And,
no,
like, what happened to them afterwards?
There aren't any notes of where she got the people. She has no notes of where she got the people exactly. Though she probably if she was smart, took them from different places and didn't have them from one like location just to hide everything. Since yeah, this is pretty illegal stuff, and a lot of people died.
Yeah. Are there any notes on what happened, like where she dumped these people afterwards?
No.
Right. Okay. Um. Okay. So what Selly is going to do? She's following so many different tracks right now, but she's just going to sort of look at Jewel and be like, Jewel, this is something of an aside to the situation at large, but when this castle, does it move?
It used to move.
Right. How often would it move? All the time, or did you move once a year?
It used to move a lot, but you gotta you gotta like I left this place abandoned for years. Like we're still trying to make sure everything is still like we're trying to get everything operational, let alone experiment with how it moves.
I know, I understand that, but when Olivia was alive,
Yeah. In that case, yeah, we moved around basically all across Inkwell.
it is off to one side of the situation, but it is still related because Olivia was kidnapping people and stealing their magic, and presumably either their entire form was dissolved as part of the process, or she left a trail of corpses behind your castle's movements.
I would say, from what these notes partake, I say there were probably corpses left that she did hide.
When this has all come down, may be worth following your footsteps back. If there are people whose families never had closure. And I understand it has been quite some time, but
It's been like this happened before the last erasure. There would be no one left.
right.
Also, I did forget one small note of, let's say, Quill with how they kept all this different magic together, like how they stitched together. There are
Mm-hmm.
notes of, like, there is, she did say there was a underground, say, during her explorations, there was a underground puddle that she found that was leftover magic from when, like, the well of inspiration, like came out and was spewing across Inkwell. There was a
Right.
small puddle that was hidden underneath ground, and she took some of the still ink to
She used a wellspring.
yeah.
Cool. Love that. Okay.
Also, do you want to roll history with that, my dear?
Sure. Please, Everett. 19.
You look at where she found it and like cross-reference it with different aspects of the journal, and you could sort of see the path that she was going. They were sort of taking together, and say where because she did put locations like where say where they went to, because the castle moved, of course. So she
Depending
was
on what you're
keeping
about to
notes.
say, I'm going to scream because I'm connecting dots in my head and I'm like, oh my fucking god, if this is where I think it is.
It's right under what say at least you find a note to say this was basically underneath University City, or at least what you.
Fucking Okay. No wonder he's so fucking big. Oh, okay. That's fine. It's not fine, but okay.
It
Okay.
it did not help. It did not help, you could say, with the problem at hand. He did have a significant growth spurt, and say at least the first time he was there. Not to say that say he wouldn't have gone bigger anyways, but
Mhm.
he
Mhm. Mhm.
got a big growth spurt right away.
Yeah. Yeah, if it was only like a puddle or like a lake, like a reservoir kind of thing, as opposed to an actual spring,
It basically what
then
I probably misspoke. It was basically like a puddle or a lake.
yeah.
this was still, but it
Yeah.
still had like even if it's a still lake, it's still ink for the well of inspiration.
He would have been the size of UPA by now, still had flowing
Yeah,
inspiration from the
yeah,
wells. So
yeah. It is a
Jesus Christ. Okay.
yeah. He basically
Great.
went back to where his mother his quote mother took ink in the first place, since he knew it was there.
Yeah.
Probably the reason how he also recovered so quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, if Jewel beat the shit out of him. Okay. Is there anything in the research about changing Ueda tether? Did they experiment with that at all?
She there is research about it. She basically she tried to copy what a Magicae's tether is, and and try to replicate, like, she you could definitely tell she did study like her like from her she did like gain notes from her brothers and Jewel herself about say even if they didn't, like, she wrote it down even though they didn't say about it, and try to replicate say that, so it's basically the same as the Uda Magic Haze.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Because he would have, if he was going to have survived the altercation with Jewel, then he would have had to have changed his tether before the combat so that when Jewel destroyed it, he was fine.
Yes.
I'm also intrigued about the puppeting situation, because if I remember from what Jewel told Selli over the phone, he puppeted Olivia.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'm wondering whether or not this was something that they had experimented with
No.
before that fight.
No, this was a Quill original where he experimented on his own creator. There was no notes about this.
Here. Um. Okay. All right. Uh. Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah. You
God, I'm
suspect
trying to think if there's anything else I've forgotten to check.
Yeah. You suspect he was experimenting on his own and changed Tether without Olivia noticing before taking control of her somewhat.
Okay. Are there any notes in the journal or anything, particularly near the end, of Quill's behavior changing or things that she was noticing? Anything like that?
Yeah, she will make, like, say say those sort of things would be more in the journal. Say she did notice that he has become maybe a bit distant and been trying been working harder and longer than her, since he basically can. He doesn't need food or sleep, so he basically soon enough was working like and researching 24/7 for a while before the journal ends.
Okay. Now, I don't remember whether or not this was said in the phone call. I actually don't think it was. So, Sally's going to read to the end of the journal, look through the things again, look through the cookbook again, and then she's going to turn to Jewel and just go, Jewel, a thought occurs, and it may not be relevant, but I will ask anyway. What was the catalyst for your altercation with Quill?
say it. I say it is when he started messing around with bodies. I say he thought I was gone that day when it happened, but I had to return home. I had to return home earlier because I forgot something, and the moment I stepped into the castle, I knew something was wrong. And then as I got closer to the kids' bedrooms, I heard screaming, and then, well, I saw it.
So what?
Quill forcibly taking over Olivia's body and using it as a puppet.
And she was resisting. That was the screaming.
Yes.
Hmm. Again, this may not be pleasant, but what did you do with Olivia's body after you fought Quill?
Gave it a proper burial. With more
Where?
precautions, of course. I had no
Where?
idea what he did to her, but I
Where
mean,
is she buried?
she's buried. They say in the bowels of the castle. We have a little, we have a little crypt.
You don't have to roll an insight. Selli is just going internally, and oh my god, she is having such thinky thoughts.
Though, before, though, I really don't want to do what you're probably thinking of doing. And besides, I'm not even sure if it would be any use to. I mean, Quill has changed so much that I'm not very sure if any of it, even digging up her body, would be helpful in this.
It is not something that I can undertake today, as I have not prepared it. However, there may be merit in getting the information directly from Olivia.
They say you could see her first stand on end. I. I rather not. I really rather not.
I also would rather not. As a last resort, we can ask her directly. But it is an option, and it is worth saying that it is an option. We cannot put her mind at ease in any way, unfortunately. But it has also been a very long time. It may not work. But it is something to consider. If we do not have enough information to pull together a proper plan, any information is good information.
Yeah, I honestly think it. I'm not even sure if it would work with how long it's been. But honestly, I think say with what you told me and how big he's gotten, I feel like we need to talk to say Luma because again, a simple anti-magic field, ironically enough, will not be enough, even though it's very high magic. But maybe combine it with soul magic, and we may have something.
Yes. We have been discussing any number of avenues of approach that means that we can get the drop on him, but apparently he is blessed with true sight, so that's not going to be of any use.
Yeah, that's new.
Hmm.
Probably with experimenting with whatever those cult people have, say, come up with.
Yes. I will have to speak to the others, and I will speak to Chief Luma and see what he can do for me. But this has been quite enlightening. I will leave her original research with you, but I will take my copy. I don't think, based on what we've read here, that Weta Magicae, generally speaking, are at any more risk now than they were this morning. Quill is no common Weta Magicae.
Yeah, I agree. He is not.
So, if nothing else, I hope that puts your mind at ease.
I'm not very sure if I ever be fully at ease. But I at least now know.
Yes. And I'm sure it gives you a lot to think about, given what it was that Olivia was doing and how she got away with it for such a long time, and how she became so desperate.
I pushed her too hard. And both her brothers were very talented in magic. All the family was talented in magic in some way, but she was never had a talent. And she
Did
grew.
she have other talents?
As you can see in the cookbook, she was one of the best cooks in the castle. I say, but being able to cook really well, being able to decipher stuff, being able to do almost everything else perfectly. Like, she was an extremely talented and, say, intelligent young woman. But that wasn't enough that she couldn't do magic.
I have seen enough in my life to know that the expectations on a child can make or break a person. And it is far too late to do anything about this, but it seems as though, as the odd one out, she may have felt inadequate and underappreciated. If her talents were not celebrated the same way magic was celebrated, no wonder she pushed herself so hard.
Yeah, it really
How
got bad when my creator, she died, and her partner, when the kids were on their own, they I did not help with their grief either. They all, I say, the two brothers went their separate ways, and Olivia was the only one who was left. And in my grief, didn't really care to even bother her that often.
old was she when she died?
How old was she? She was around your age.
Hmm. I see.
Just a young 20 something that her mother died and that probably broke her. Maybe he wanted to, I don't know, impress me. I don't know. I was too far
It,
gone.
it does no one any good being isolated. Because when you lose your only supports, you forces.
I know that now. It's just. Unfortunately, they didn't have a lot of psychiatry back then.
Oh, you don't need a degree for this kind of thing. Just experience.
Yeah. I always wonder whatever happened to the boys and their Uda Magicae.
You never kept in touch with them?
That was too mournful. I remember I've received letters, but they're decades old now, and if they escape, I don't know even if they escaped the erasures.
Hmm.
And even then, they would say they're no more. They're, at least the sons are dead. Their Uda Magicae, I have no idea.
Hmm. She's even got this prepped for today. How the hell did you manage that? Okay. Uh huh. Oh, it takes forever. You know what? You know what? I'm gonna use a clever monkey use tool with my hammer space. That is not a one. Fantastic. She's gonna take out a paper airplane. And she's going to slide it over to Jewel. Just for the sake of the argument. Write to them and see what happens.
Gonna need two of those, but maybe I will.
She pulls out another one. She's just slide them both over. This may seem completely irrelevant, but could you at least do one of them now?
Alright, alright. As she starts writing them.
Mm-hmm. Selli will just sit there and wait. Because she's got a thought. She wants to be wrong about this thought, but she has a thought.
Do you want to roll an investigation? And say it's investigation as you're watching her write.
Okay, I can do that. That is a dirty 20! Nice!
As she writes the first letter, is say she is say you can say she writes that's like just a general letter, and you actually catch the name of at least one of the Udamagic, which is which is Inky Pendragon.
Uh-huh.
And this is like a general like, hello, how you do? I know it's been a while. I'm sorry. And then say tell them like where they are and stuff. Maybe say like say I'd like to maybe if you're still alive have contact. And then the other and as she writes the other one, she basically writes almost the same exact letter, and you get the name of the other Uda Magicae, which is Flare Solaire Pendragon.
Uh-huh.
And
Uh-huh.
also roll a history check.
Okay. No, that's a 22. Nice, nice.
You don't want to make assumptions, but you're pretty on your way up to the castle. You did see a large family portrait of of say Jewel and her family. Say with
Mm-hmm.
say with her creator Emily, and then her husband, and then the children. And one of the children has a basically a phoenix shaped say Una Magicae, and the other
Mm-hmm.
one was like a simple stick figure. And you could probably deduce which Udake's name goes to which.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Inky is definitely the phoenix. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Look, even if they're and she finishes as she sighs like, look, even if they're even alive, I'm pretty sure they ain't gonna write it back. They ain't gonna write back right away.
Potentially not, but it's worth trying.
She sighs as she folds them, and then she she gives a nod to she gives a little motion to Nigel as he goes over to the window and opens it, and she then sends both paper planes out.
Okay. Do they do the normal off towards their recipient kind of thing?
Yeah, basically yes.
Interesting. Okay. Okay. She's gonna log that away. We might deal with that offline. um.
And you guys maybe wait a while, but there's no response.
Yeah, that's completely fair. All right. Now, is there anything that you were hoping I would ask that I have not asked? Is there something I've forgotten?
I mean, I think you got everything.
Oh God, I don't trust like that. Okay. Let me think. All right, we know that Olivia made Quill by kidnapping people and stitching their magics together using ink from the Well of Inspiration.
Or at least a leftover puddle.
Well,
Puddle
it's
lake.
still inspiration ink. So
Yes.
even if it wasn't free flowing, it was still inspiration ink.
Mm-hmm.
He went back there after fighting Jewel and has probably just drunk the whole thing. Which is why he's so fucking big. Doing research and stuff on himself and whatnot without Olivia's knowing because he could just go 24/7. We have to talk to Luma about soul magic, which Selly's going to make a little phone call when she gets back to her office, which we might do offline because it
Yeah.
has been an hour and a half. She has threads to follow up in regards to Quill's siblings. Shit. Can I roll something for Selly to have a bigger brain than me?
I mean, you basically got everything.
Okay, cool. Cool. There's no other. Okay, great. Alright, if that's the case, I think she might close Olivia's journals and cookbooks and put them back on the desk and make sure it's all nice and neat and tidy. And then she'll stand up, brush off her dress, and then be like, "Thank you, Jewel. I know this would not have been easy for you."
It's okay. I knew I had to face it eventually.
Hopefully, before too much longer, we will be able to be back in contact with some good news.
I hope so. Good luck. Good luck up there, kid.
Thank you. Should we fail, though, I'm relying on you
Yeah.
for Scribbles and our children. Please.
Yeah. I'll make sure I'm around. And I'll make sure he doesn't get far.
Thank you. And she's going to give a bit of a bow and turn to Nigel to very expectingly to be led out.
And she does. And as the scene sort of pans away from this, as Selli say goes back home, it goes out the window and sort of follows a paper airplane. Say through the sky, through the clouds, and say sort of in the movies, the paper airplane sort of disappears and then reappears over what looks to be a large city. Say at least one of the paper airplanes sent over a UPA, and it goes closer and closer, and the people would recognize the campus of UPA University as
Son of a bitch.
as they as it goes over buildings and goes through the main bell as it chimes and as the sun slowly sets, and then goes over to the library and goes to the top of one of the book looks like buildings of the library, and we it narrows in on a little stick figure watching the sunset and munching on something. You have no idea what it is. It looks like a piece of fruit, since there's other fruits on a little mini picnic basket. But the fruits look small to it because there's a grape that's almost half its size. And basically the stick figure is a tiny. And
excellent.
As the paper airplane as the stick figure assumedly thinks the paper airplane is not for it and just ignores it while watching the sunset, but then it realizes, oh, it's for me, as it he barrel rolls out of the way as the airplane goes right at him and then lands on the ground. It makes a motion of confusion as it then goes over to the paper and then opens said paper and then looks like it's reading it and giving it doesn't have a face, but it does give a vibe of, oh my god. as the camera then pans up for it to fade to black.
Fantastic! We are going to have conversations about that one. Oh, this is going to be fun. There might be another FPS in the future. Cool! And she doesn't have to travel that far for this one. Cool beans. Wow, I love it. That's great. Thank you, Nona.
No problem. You now know. I never thought this would ever come up. I thought maybe this could be used for a fun game later, but Selli's like, no, you are writing to your family here and now.
Selli is thorough. Oh dear.
But you
and
now
also,
at least know,
it's
you as the player now know at least one of the Una Magicae, Jules' children lives within University City.
Yep, and if I have my way, Selli will know that shortly too. Alright. Fantastic. Well, thank you, Nona.
Oh, no problem.
I am going to go and yell in the group chat.
Nice.
This has been wonderful. Thank you so much.
And thank you everyone for listening in on this 12 FPS. I all hope you have a good time zone. Bye-bye.
Bye.